Hey everybody, Candy here. Had some really fun technical difficulties getting the 5 things you must know about losing weight for good after 50-ish plus onto Facebook tonight. So I decided to re-record it just from Zoom and upload it to Vimeo and post it just in the group so you guys can actually see the entire thing because it kind of was all kind of wonky everywhere. Anyway, let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen so that everybody can see it and we are going to get started. All right. Okay. Free course. The 5 things you must know about losing weight for good after 50-ish plus. Why in the world am I doing this? Well, I've been through this. Let's dive into it. I've been there. I get it. And I am here to help women create compassion with their bodies and their weight and their lives and become partners with all of those things, including their minds and their emotions. That's why I'm on the planet and that's why I do what I do. So let's talk about you. You've gained weight as you've aged. You may have had some success losing weight, probably yo-yoed with your weight. You've had a good idea of which foods will help your body be healthy, and you struggle to stop eating the brownies or the cookies or the sugary drinks, the chips or the breads, and you have emotion and emotions that are tough in your life, and they're tough to handle right now. Maybe aging parents or passing parents or loved ones or relationships with grown children or job stressors or stressors in any type of a relationship or marriages, etc. And you're so strong and successful in all the areas of your life. And so you tell yourself you think you should know better and you should have solved this already. So there's so much mental harsh noise and worry and despair sometimes in your mind. And you're afraid that you can't do it or that it won't work for you or that this is just your lot. This is just how it is when you get older. And you really just want freedom from it all, from all the noise and the pain inside. And you know it's time to take care of you. And this is why I do what I do. Because as we start to create freedom from all that noise inside, all of the beauty and all of your juice and gifts that you already are infinitely, you're already whole and perfect, it just gets to come out. And it's just so fun to be that version of you. And that is why I'm on the planet, to help you create that compassion so that you can be that version of you that you already are in there, but some of this noise is just clouding it. So why listen to me? I'm just like you. I've totally been there. I gained 65 pounds as I aged. I yo-yoed and I gained some more. And I knew I couldn't spend the rest of my life like that. I wanted to be able to hike and play and dance and move with the kids in my life and the loved ones in my life. And so I started studying lots of different things and programs and coaching programs. And I used cognitive science and emotional healing techniques to change my mindset and my identity around food and my body and all the emotions in my life. I just really wanted to be able to become someone different around food so that it didn't control me so much or at all. And in that process, I lost 65 pounds and I became partners with my brain and my body and my emotions. And I keep it off easily now with no beat up, no harsh voices in my mind, no willpower, no restriction, and no deprivation. It's just who I am. And I'm a certified life coach and weight loss coach and relationship coach and emotional healing expert and coach. And what that means is I help you with all of the different areas that you have stressors and emotions around, the relationships and all the different pieces of your life, and help you heal those. And I do continuous research and I work with an MD and other experts in this field, and I'm continuously looking for different ways to help my clients and make things easier for them. And I've helped dozens and dozens of clients do the same, meaning become partners with their brain, body, and emotions so it just becomes who they are, to keep the weight off easily. All right. And you can totally do this too. So let's jump into the class. The 5 things you must know about losing weight over 50-ish plus and why you haven't solved this for good yet. Okay, I really want to stress the yet. I'm going to share 5 points over the course of this course. You haven't understood your emotions and thoughts and your brain and how that works so that you actually become someone who no longer emotionally overeats. And you haven't yet understood the critical role that hormones play in gaining and losing weight as you age and managing your emotions around that too. And you haven't yet learned the myths and truths about exercise as we age and understanding your emotions around that too. and you haven't learned the myths and truths about normal eating as you age and the emotions around that too. And you haven't learned why planning is so key to this process, why you don't do it, and how we relate to our time is a really emotional thing, and you haven't learned to manage your emotions around that either. That's why. All right, let's jump in. So let's talk about our emotions and processing and understanding our emotions. This is the biggest reason you failed in the past or yo-yoed in the past. It's because you haven't learned to stop quitting on yourself. And you quit on yourself because you haven't learned the simple process to understand and process your emotions without food. Those loud, noisy voices start judging us and we quit. So how do we do this? Okay? How do you stop quitting on yourself? You don't learn this in diet books or diet programs, right? You start a diet and then you go, and you've got so much willpower, and then something happens and you give up, and and somebody brings something and you eat it, and then you beat yourself up, and then all the harsh voices, and then you say start Monday, and it's just like a noisy ruckus inside, and it's just really painful, right? And so we quit. We have little micro quits, and then we have macro quits, and what we haven't learned to do is process the emotions around this quitting process instead of using food to numb out because of these fails, okay? So how do we do that? We have to learn to understand our brain and our emotions and our thought processes and learn to be compassionate with ourselves instead of harsh and judgmental. You know what I'm talking about, all those harsh voices, right? But there's a reason why it's hard to not be harsh to ourselves. There's a reason why it's hard to stop quitting on ourselves, okay? It's not because something's wrong with you. It's because you're human and you have a human brain. Let's talk a little bit more about that. The reason it's hard is because the brain is a survival organ. It's wired for survival, and it interprets the emotions of fear of failure, the fear around self-doubt as like literally chemical emotional threats in our body. And what do most of us do when we feel threatened? Yeah, we go eat, right? So the brain is wired to resist that threatening emotion or react to that threatening emotion or avoid that threatening emotion. And what do we do usually to do that, to resist that threatening emotion? We shove food in our face to numb out. I'm going to keep saying that over and over. And then we judge the heck out of ourselves, right? We judge the heck out of ourselves and think, oh, something's wrong with me. No, we just haven't learned how to be compassionate and not take any of these things personally and make it about our worth, or we're not good enough, or we're not strong enough. That's what survival brain wants to tell us. It's not what's happening. What's happening is we need to learn these simple tools. So do this instead. To understand your emotions and reframe, we start with this tool. Start with this reframe. Your emotions are chemical signals, and they are gifts from your brain, and they contain so much information that they are just dying to share with you. And your emotions are literally just waiting for you to pay them attention and hear what they really have to say. And what if you could learn to be in partnership with those emotions so you could really hear? Because they have a lot to tell you about what's going on in your body. And we are usually pushing, and doing, and being so busy, and our culture is just really indoctrinated us to be so busy that we don't stop and listen. And this is one of the biggest reasons we gain weight. So what we do instead is we give ourselves actual time to listen. And if your brain says, well, I don't have any time, I want you to question that. That is the reason you're struggling here, because you're telling yourself you don't have time. What if you just slow down, give yourself 5-10 minutes? We all have 5-10 minutes. Give yourself time to actually listen. So when you're feeling an emotion, you're feeling slightly uncomfortable, maybe sad or depressed or anxious or even like super excited, just slow down and breathe a couple, 2, 3, 4 times nice and deeply and slowly. And then just notice it and label it and tell yourself, I'm feeling anxious, or whatever the feeling is. And then tell yourself where you feel it in your body. I feel it, when I feel anxious, I feel it right here, and it feels kind of buzzy, and then just kind of describe it. And then keep breathing and just notice them. That right there, noticing them, calms down that fight, flight, or freeze system and helps you connect to your prefrontal cortex and make better choices. So notice these emotions, like you'd notice the emotions of a small child that you love so unconditionally, and then ask yourself, how would I speak and interact with that child that I love and would always give the benefit of the doubt to? Would I get impatient with that child? No. Would I be curious and compassionate? Yeah. So when you ask yourself, how would I interact with that child? From curiosity and compassion, do that for yourself. Okay? Now let's move on to the point number 2 that helps us understand how to lose the weight over 50-ish plus. Actually, nope, not gonna go there. I forgot. We've got one more thing on emotions. I wanted to share a little side note that's directly connected to our emotions. When we start making a change or wanting to make a change and making a decision to change, these instincts of resist, react, and avoid come up all over the place. This is the kind of like the graphic of why we stop, why we quit on ourselves, okay? Because our survival instinct brain interacts with decisions and the emotions when we want to change by saying, okay, well, I probably should, make a change and learn and probably get a coach and work on, losing this over 50 weight, but it sounds so scary and I'm afraid and I'm going to resist it. And then I'm going to react to it, and then I'm just going to avoid it, and we procrastinate. And then we'll finally think about making the decision to change, and then afterwards we're like, well, I'll kind of do it, and I'll resist it a little bit, and then I'll react to it, and then just get mad about it, and then kind of avoid it. And we judge ourselves and we shame ourselves in this process, and then we'll say, okay, all right, I'm finally going to, stop eating sugar for like, 3 days or whatever. But then we resist it, and we react to it, and we avoid it. And what happens here is we just create so much mental pain for ourselves. And what happens is we disconnect ourselves from our prefrontal cortex and our problem-solving amazing center in our brain. And so there can be little to no evaluation about how to continue forward. And what I do for you in my program is I teach you how to make prefrontal cortex choices, how to connect to your prefrontal cortex instead of getting stuck in the survival brain instincts, so that you can make those choices from your most amazing problem solver brain, part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, around food in your body and your life and your weight, so that you actually make this long-term. This is the only way to create long-term change. You will never create long-term change when we're coming from survival brain, and this is usually where we're making all of our decisions around how to change and how to lose the weight and finally be able to do it for good. When we're making decisions from here, we can never change long-term. We have to actually connect to our prefrontal cortex and make a decision, commit to the decision beforehand, implement the decision, and allow and process the emotion to come up. So you make the decision, I'm going to hire a coach, or I'm going to stop eating sugar and flour, or I'm going to, move my body from love, and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to commit to it. And then your brain's going to want to resist and react and avoid. And you're going to allow and learn the special tools that I teach you in my program, how to not quit here. When you learn these tools, you don't quit, you keep going. And then you learn to evaluate what worked about that, what didn't work about that, and how can I go forward. And you learn to look at it really neutrally and really objectively, and then you repeat until you hit your growth goal. That is how you create long-term change. That is how you work with the instinct to resist and react and avoid. So again, when you're making decisions here, trying to make decisions here from fear and self-doubt and resistance and reacting and avoiding, this is just coming from survival brain, fear and self-doubt, okay? This here is where we create courage, commitment, and therefore long-term change. All right, now let's talk about point number 2. You haven't understood the critical role that hormones play in gaining and losing weight as you age. This is another reason why your brain may create fear and kind of get you in that survival brain indecision, disempowered decision-making process, the survival brain decision-making process. It will create fear and self-doubt for you about creating or losing the over 50 weight because you failed in the past and you're afraid to fail because you couldn't stick to the restrictions of the diet long-term. And sometimes you feel out of control and you're afraid you won't be able to stop eating all the sweets. I hear this all the time from people joining my group. The sweets and the desserts are just so good. And you can't feel like you can make it stick, and you feel like this is just, what's going on here is nothing's broken with you. What's going on here is you're not understanding what's going on with your aging hormones and just your hormones in general, okay? Many hormones are involved in the nutrition and fat metabolism process and the losing weight process, especially as we get older and in general. And I'm going to touch on 3 briefly today. The first one that is so important is insulin. And hopefully you've heard some of this. There's so much information out there these days about this. Weight loss is not about eating low fat or sticking strictly to a diet or this and that. We got a lot of bad information in the 80s, 90s, actually a little bit before that, because there was a push by a scientist paid by companies selling sugar and flour to take the fat out of everything so you could put sugar and flour in everything, and it's caused an addiction for us nationwide and partly in many parts of the world. Our bodies are not designed to process sugars and flours, and so that whole low fat thing really did us in, and it's why we have the diabetes epidemic today. Okay, so losing weight, especially as we age, it's not about the low fat, the calories in, calories out, I can exercise it off. It's not about only low carb or high carb or crazy diets or exercising your tush off. It's actually about learning to be in partnership and support your insulin, because insulin is the hormone that processes fat, pushes it around, takes care of your body. And what happens the older we get is all of us become more insulin resistant. Welcome to being human. What is insulin resistance? It's essentially when our insulin is repeatedly high and a couple of things happen. It messes up our hunger hormones, so it makes us feel hungrier and hungrier because the sugars and the flours and the processed foods that spike up the insulin are not satiating, and they turn off those hormones that tell us that we're full, and this puts our body into fat storage mode. So this is kind of what it looks like here. We'll eat some sugar and flour and refined foods, and then our body will make extra insulin, and then the body's like, hey, this is too much insulin, and then the cells will resist like letting it in and out, and so it stores that extra glucose and as fat. And then because there's so much extra energy, and this energy that our bodies were not designed to process, we feel tired and lethargic and extra hungry. And then we'll eat some more, and so we're still hungry, we eat some more. This is why I could eat a whole pan of brownies and some like 3 or 4 grilled cheese sandwiches and never feel satisfied, and the weight just kept going up and up and up. Both my parents are type 2 diabetic, and so this insulin resistance was even more, I was even more prone to it. But we all are very prone to it the older that we get. Our insulin processing just drops over time, okay? So that's what's going on there. So what do? We eat foods that are lower on the glycemic index. Our bodies were designed to eat proteins, fats, and veggies and water. And most people will often say, well, I don't know if I could give up. And when you hear that, I want you to hear, I don't know if I could give up XYZ, my favorite, blah, blah, blah. I want you to hear a brain that is addicted. Because when a brain and a body is healthy, it does not think that. It thinks, I don't really want that. Or if I want that, I know how to choose it. I know how to eat it in small portions, and I know how to not overeat it. Think about, that's really kind of what has happened to our brains and bodies. Manufacturers know that the more sugar that they put in things, and the flour, they have what they call, I can't remember the exact term, but it's like a certain point at which will be just sweet enough to entice the customer to keep buying and keep buying and keep buying more. Okay. So in my program, I teach you to heal your brain and your body and your emotions around all of this, because there's a lot of emotions around, I can't give this up. And one of the most beautiful things that I love hearing every time with my clients is, wow, it's so easy not to eat sugar. I don't really want to. Good. So it doesn't become, it's not about giving something up. It's about honoring your body, being in partnership with your body, listening to your body, listening to your emotions, and processing the emotions around kind of coming off the addiction, really. So you don't even want them anymore. Is that to say that I don't eat some now and again, or my clients don't? No, but you know what we do? Our prefrontal cortex is making the choice, and we know when to stop. And we're in control, and the food's not in control. So you're fully conscious, you have no guilt when you overeat it, or excuse me, you have no guilt and you don't overeat it. And you become someone who's in control of food instead of out of control, with out of whack hormones, in insulin resistance, just keep perpetuating the cycle. And again, this is what happens for every one of my clients when they do the program. They become someone who's in charge of it, and it doesn't control them anymore. Imagine what that would be like if you didn't even want those things anymore. Not from a place of restriction or deprivation, but just because your body's healed and you're in partnership with it, and your body has your back and you have your body's back, and you learn to manage the emotions around it all. What would that be like? All right, let's talk about point number 3, the most critical myth and truth about exercise as you age. This will be another reason why your brain might feel fearful or feel fear and self-doubt, because it'll worry about sticking to exercise long-term. I got to make myself go to the gym. Whenever your brain's like afraid, like I can't do it, I got to make myself do it. Just notice that. Be compassionate and notice that. So one of the big things here, and the big myth about exercise, especially as we age, is we cannot out-exercise our mouth. The most current research is showing that exercise does not play a factor in weight loss. It plays a factor in weight loss maintenance. So what you can do is actually manage your emotions around what you put in your mouth, heal your brain and your body and your emotions so that you feed your body good fuel foods, proteins, fats, and veggies from a space of love and healing. And you make a choice to move your body as a gift of love to yourself. That's what you do. And so I want to give you a little free gift here, a little tip. Ask yourself, what's the most loving thing that I could do to move my body right now? And I invite you to start small, because the brain likes to aggrandize things and go to black and white thinking. Instead, say, let's start with 5 minutes. If you haven't exercised for a really long time, or start with 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever seems like something you could totally nail and totally do. And go for a walk. One of my clients, when she first started with me, she couldn't even walk to the end of the driveway. And she started by telling herself she could do 5 minutes. And then she started walking to the end of the block. And then she started walking to the halfway around the block. And then she started walking around the block and walking around the block and walking around the block. And then she started riding her bike and doing the stairs. And before she knew it, she was walking around the block for at least a mile. She didn't even know it. And she ached and ached and ached before working together. Doesn't ache anymore. This is what's possible. One more little side note about connecting hormones and exercise. Just a side note, estrogen and testosterone drop with age. As we know, they kind of go fluctuating and dropping. And yes, we have testosterone in our bodies too, ladies, okay? And so this drop in those hormones lowers the body's ability to process fat efficiently and puts the body more into a fat storage mode. So exercise can counteract the effects of falling testosterone and allows more fatty acid into our muscles to be used for energy, and less fatty acid is available for the fat cells. So it's really important here, specifically strength training, lifting weights helps a lot with that particular hormone. So it's really important that we lovingly add a couple times a week strength training to our workouts. Does that mean you have to go to the gym floor? Most people don't love going to the gym floor. No, there's so many things online, guys. Go and find something and start with some small weights and start with 5 minutes twice a week. Then bump it up to 8 minutes twice a week. Then bump it up to 10, okay? Little tiny bites at a time. Our falling estrogen changes the distribution of fat in our bodies, and it increases the ability of fat cells to take up fatty acids, and this also makes it harder to lose weight. So exercise will help with all of this, but most of all, proteins, fats, and veggies and what we put in our mouths are going to be the key factor there, okay? So let's talk about point number 4, the myths and truths about eating normal. Oh, I should have put that in there. Let me change that for you. About eating normal as we age, okay? And this will be one of those areas where your brain might create fear or self-doubt in yourself about losing the over 50-ish weight, because changing your diet seems scary, or you don't know if you can do it long term, or you're worried about it not being normal. This comes up a lot for some of my clients. You're like, well, I want to go out with friends and it's just not normal. Well, I want you, if this is one of the things that you struggle with, listen up. I want you to really question, what is normal? The human species was designed over time, think about our hunter-gatherer ancestors, to eat proteins, fats, and veggies. And what's happened in our society is we have been indoctrinated with marketing and sugars and flours and all these things that are conditioned. They are actually not normal. So I want you to start to consider a new normal definition, and consider that this new normal definition of what is healthy to eat is actually what is healthy for your body and what it's designed for. It's actually not normal to eat sugar and flour, because what it does is it packs on the pounds and the weight as we age. It's a conditioned thing. It's a socialized thing. It's a marketing thing. It's not normal. Snacking every 2 to 3 hours is not normal. Think about our hunting and gathering ancestors. They were designed to be able to go and hunt, gather roots and berries, and then wait a few and be able to like go a few 2-3 days until they found their next hunt. If the body was designed to eat every 2 to 3 hours, they would have died after 2 or 3 hours, and that's not the case. So snacking and eating every 2 to 3 hours actually does not serve us, especially as we age. We got a lot of information in the late 90s and 2000s about that, and the most current research is showing that that just keeps your insulin spiked, which keeps, and when our insulin is spiked, what does it do? Stores fat, stores fat, stores fat. It's too much energy in the body, okay? And the last piece here that I want you to look at, let me move this little guy here so we can actually see, is eating when you're not hungry just because everybody else is not normal. It's conditioned. It's not normal, meaning it's not what your body was designed to do. It's not healthy for your body. Let me tell you what is normal. What is healthy for the human body, okay? Eating things that were breathing or came from the ground is normal. The human body is designed to eat proteins, fats, and roots and veggies, some fruits. And giving your body rest from food is normal, meaning not eating every 2 to 3 hours, eating 2 to 3 meals maximum a day, and giving your body time to rest, not snacking late at night or snacking all through the afternoons. This is what our grandparents did, even just like back in the 40s and 50s. They didn't eat 7 meals a day, and I don't mean to tout that. But what really happened with most of our bodies is that just kept our insulin spike, insulin spike, insulin spike. Now, if you are training to be a bodybuilder, that's going to be a little bit different, but most of us aren't, okay? Bodybuilders eat a little bit more often, but most of us aren't bodybuilders. And if you are, more power to you. Love it. And eating only when you are grumble in the tummy hungry and stopping when you're satisfied is normal. In other words, healthy. Not eating because the crowd is eating, that's not normal. But eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're not. Think about babies. They push the bottle away when they're full. They don't keep eating and eating and eating because everyone else is eating. Let's take a lesson from them. In my program, I teach you to love taking care of yourself and your body so that this new normal, meaning the ancient normal, meaning the human species normal, is effortless, it's easy, and it's a joy. And your brain might be like, I don't know that I can do that. That's okay. That's what I help you do. Our brains have been conditioned, and I help you decondition that in really loving ways, little by little, in ways that your brain can totally handle. And like I said, every single one of my clients says, whoa, I can't believe this was so easy. One of my clients, in fact, said, oh my gosh, I don't even want sugar anymore. She went to her favorite candy store. She was like, I don't even want it. And it's so easy. That's what she said. So many of my clients say that. So I want you to start to imagine that you no longer struggle to choose healthy foods. Your body and mind just naturally want them because you're in such partnership with your emotions and your body and your mind. This is what your body is waiting for. Your body is there like a sweet little being just waiting for you to hear it. Your emotions are just waiting for you to hear them and communicate. What if that's what this is all really about? Now let's talk about point number 5. You might be worried about not having the time to plan or take care of you. And that's because you just haven't learned to manage your emotions around how to do it in a way that's simple and easy and without guilt. We have so many emotions around our time. Our culture is addicted to saying, I'm so busy, and we all feel pushed to do and help and produce and help everybody else around us. And then we don't sleep. And just a side note, when we don't sleep, cortisol levels go up, and then we eat more because we need more energy or think we need more energy, and that puts on the weight too. But what we haven't learned to do here is we have not learned to manage our time and our emotions around our time. And we think that we aren't in control of our time. Well, I'm just so busy. These things are happening to me. No, honey. No, my friend. Sorry if it's offensive to say honey, but I used to teach kindergarten and sometimes that comes out. That's not what's going on here. You just haven't learned the simple steps to plan, to take care of you, and why it's so important. We can get addicted to the adrenaline hits of being busy and pushing and pushing and pushing and doing and doing and doing. So when we push, do, it's another essentially addiction that our brain has just gotten conditioned to do. Nothing's wrong with you, but our brains do this. It's really fascinating. And it's another way that we don't feel our feelings. We can push and get busy as an unconscious way to not process our emotions and see our emotions and listen to them. So in my program, I teach you how to plan in a simple, self-honoring way so you don't sacrifice yourself or feel guilty, and imagine what it will be like when you become the person that lovingly and consciously makes time for herself without guilt. And it's easy, and you really learn to honor yourself and your body and be in partnership. What would that be like? When my clients get to this point in the program, and it doesn't take that long for them to really start to get here, they start to feel this confidence and this self-love. And they stop turning themselves into pretzels, and they learn to say no in really loving ways so that they can take care of themselves. And it makes everything up here and in their lives so much more happy and calm and peaceful. Imagine what that's like and what that could be like. So let me give you a few critical tips to making planning simple. I want to give you lots of value and lots of tips here. Schedule a time to plan and put it in your calendar. Your brain's not going to want to do this. Do it anyway because you're the CEO of you. So please keep that appointment with the CEO of you. You wouldn't not keep an appointment with a friend. Give yourself that same grace, that same respect. And then plan when to shop, and do not go shopping when you are hungry for the food, and then plan when and how you're going to prep and put that all on a calendar and put them all on your calendar. And then as you do that, ask yourself, how can I make this easy and fun? How can I make this easy and fun? Okay? And now what I really would love for you to start to consider is imagine that you feel like a partner with your body, a partner with your emotions, and you learn to listen to one another, and you're partners with your mind and your thoughts instead of adversaries, which we've just instinctively done. And imagine that you can lose the weight with so much less harsh mind noise and judgment and so much more compassion. And imagine that you lose the weight and it's so much more simple and easy than it has ever been in the past. This happens every time with my clients. And imagine that you stop craving all those treats, all those desserts that feel like you can't stop. They hold you hostage right now, and you stop even craving them. What if I just taught you that? What if you do the activities that you love with more ease, and you know how to put them on your calendar and really put you on your calendar, and you do those activities like play and hike with your family and your loved ones, or dance, or whatever you love to do, garden, with so much more fun and less aches, and you moved your body from self-love instead of guilt. And you get to a place where you lose the weight and you learn to keep going, and you never quit on yourself, and you completely love and trust yourself around food, period. Imagine that you no longer eat because of the emotions of the time of day or the relationships in your life or social situations or work stressors or situations, because you know exactly how to take care of yourself emotionally. And what if you could be done with this issue for good and truly be free? If this is you and this is what you want, and you know it's time to take care of you, I can help you. This is what I created for myself, exactly. I no longer ever think that I'm ever going to yo-yo again, it's not who I am. And this is what I've helped dozens and dozens of my personal clients create for themselves through working in my 6-month one-on-one online program. And I can help you completely and totally do the same in your life. So this is how it works. Click the link below to schedule your free consult so you can start being free from all of this today and stop emotional overeating and lose the over 50-ish, up to 50 pounds for good for the last time. And I'm also offering a free PDF of activities to go along with this lesson. Direct message me your email and I'll send that to you as well. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.